be able to play pretend believably enough that we are willing to give you our hard-earned cash to watch you do it. Now, one of the best ways that I know to figure out how to do that is not to look at the good guys or the good girls. They make it look easy, and sometimes it's hard to figure out what they're doing. We're going to look at the bad stuff. I'm going to show you the absolute worst dub that I know of. One, because it's funny. But two, because we're going to learn something and looking at when it falls apart and how we can put it back together. So, you may or may not be familiar with this show called Garzy's Wing. It's a doozy. You can tell it's a doozy just from the very beginning voiceover, and this is the opening sort of title sequence. Just check out the opening voiceover.
Show me the ancient Japanese man's spirit.
In case you missed it, the line was, "Show me the ancient Japanese man spirit."
That's right.
I'm not sure what that means. I'm not sure I want to know what that means. She does. Someone can check with her later. I heard a high-pitched voice I've even seen where the face came from. He would like to know about Japanese man spirit. If anyone would like to know about Japanese man spirit, he's in room 1563. Yeah, show me the ancient Japanese man spirit. So what's going on in this show? It turns out this show, Garzy's Wing, is about this young Japanese boy, young adult, right? Young Japanese guy, who one day while he's riding his motorcycle in modern-day Japan, like you do, a spiritual swan rips his soul out of his body.
Who hasn't been there?
I hate when this happens. Every time I'm riding my Harley, the swan comes, rips my soul out of my body. It's no fun at all. So what happens is, his soul gets taken back to ancient feudal Japan, where he's completely naked for some reason. And has to defend himself from some really bad samurai. So he's now back in this ancient world, but while he's back there, it turns out that he's gotten this necklace. As his soul came back in time, there's this little necklace of beads, and these beads sort of move and shimmer, and they allow his soul in the past to talk to his physical body in the present. And this is the conversation. Where are you?
Because we didn't communicate with each other through these bells, it might lead to a way to get back through the bells. Can you find a way to get back there? I felt like I was having a dream. Why don't I have pants? Oh, body's aching.
Body's aching.
Mom told me I have bruises all over my body. And they use bows and arrows. My sword is unbelievably dull.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
Probably. No, it can't be true. I'm not joking. Those foreigners surround me. I must somehow make sense of our convoluted situation.
Oh yes, we must somehow make sense of this convoluted situation. And there's really only one word for this, and that's fail. So we have all sorts of wonderful humdingers in this one, right? My sword is unbelievably dull.
I hate when that.
Don't talk to him about Japanese man skills. I don't think he's going to be able to help
Covered in bruises!
But 12th and 13th century foreigners surround me. I felt like I was having a dream. you know, there's lots of stuff going on wrong here, and we could sit here and make fun of it all night long, and that would be a different panel. However, we are not here just to make fun of a bad dub. We're here to learn how to voice act. And there's a very big difference between a critic and an artist. A critic will see a piece of art, realize that it's bad, and then tell you about it. Okay? An artist will see a piece of art, realize that it's bad, and then figure out how to make it better. It's easy to sit around and complain, oh, that film sucked. Okay, how would you fix it? Well, I don't know, it just sucks. And? What specifically about it sucks, right? What would you change the script? Would you change the casting? Would you change the pacing? Would you change the shots? Would you change, what would you do to actually make it better? If you're going to be an artist, if you're going to work in the industry, that's what you're going to have to deal with. You're going to get this slot put in front of you, and they want, you know, a meal. And you have to sort of whip something up and make it sound believable and realistic and marketable, that they can sell it, okay? So, this is not so good. What could we do to make this better? If you had to give this director action, what would it be?
Start with a much better written script.
Much better written script. To be perfectly honest, he does not have great material. Right? The script is not helping him. Lady in the black tank up there?
He could make it so he doesn't use words like convoluted, like more normal words that people would actually use.
More normal words, sir in the red black vest?
He doesn't have to scream all the time.
It doesn't sound terribly natural. You, sir?
Well, I just want to say, like he said earlier, you're trying to match them voice flaps up. So
Right.
you got to come up with words
That fit a little better, right? Basically, overall, what we would like him to be, the main complaint, what's the main complaint of this guy? He's not believable, right? If professional acting is playing pretend believably enough that we will pay you to do it, he's not believable. We don't want to pay him any money.
Somebody did.
Somebody did. Not much, trust me. So what would we like to say to this gentleman? Well, we would like to say to him, act better.
Sound constipated.
And that's a legitimate direction. That is, I don't believe what you're doing. Now, hopefully a director can do something more than that they can help you, give you some pointers about how possibly to act better, but not always. I have worked with directors who really don't have anything other to say than, I don't like it, fix it. Or that's not it, do it again. Okay? What the hell do you do then as an actor? You don't always have someone helping you. So how do you go about actually doing this better? Well, let's start with this idea of playing pretend. There's a couple of different ways, well, let me rephrase that. There are many different acting techniques, but I want to share with you some basic things that I have found useful when trying to approach a character, just to sort of, something to sink my teeth into. There's a couple different things you can think about with a character. One is the character itself. What kind of character am I playing? If we're working on, say, Lord of the Rings, which I assume most people in the room have seen at some point, am I playing a hobbit? Am I playing a dwarf? Am I playing a wizard? Am I playing an elf? What kind of character am I dealing with? What's their backstory? What's their history? And how do they go through life? You know, when they're all by themselves, how do they act? Another thing you can hang on to is relationship. You usually have someone else in the scene working with you. In that scene, he's working with himself. Right? This is their standard Shakespeare soliloquy. In a monologue, that's what I'm doing right now. A monologue, I'm talking to another person and you're not really talking back. There you go. So I'm up here monologuing. But if I was doing a soliloquy, if I was doing Hamlet, to be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind's eye to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Or, you know, I'm talking to myself. I'm literally standing outside myself and having a conversation with myself. So no matter what you're doing, you're talking to someone. And you have a relationship with that person you are talking to. And the relationship you have with your scene partner colors how you perform the scene. You speak differently to everyone you have in your life. A different part of you comes out when you talk to different people in your life. That's what your character has to do when they're playing pretend as well. Objective. This is the classic, what's my motivation? Right? Which is a useful starting point, not a lot. It's good to know what your character wants. However, I have found it most useful to articulate this in terms of what does my character want, or what do I want from my scene partner? And most specifically, what emotional response do I want from my scene partner? So case in point, I am up here teaching a class. Do you really have to be here in order for me to lecture? No. And you've had teachers like that, where they really couldn't give a damn whether you're listening or absorbing what they're talking about at all. Okay? That's teaching. If I said, my character right now wants to teach a class, I could do that and completely ignore all of your responses to me. But if I change that want, and I say, my character's want is not to teach a class,